All right, of course, there had to be something. I love how it randomly will set my audio to a different device that doesn't exist. But, anyways, welcome everybody to another Circle of the Earth Fellowship episode, roundtable episode. Super excited to be back and with a pretty gravy topic. So hope y'all are excited to talk about weather manipulation and the global warnings. But without further ado, let's go ahead and say hello to all of those on the panel with us tonight. And a little housekeeping, and then we'll get into the topic as always. Welcome, everybody. Shalom to all those with us tonight and who will watch this later. So, first and foremost, in spot number one, we got our dear brother Robert. Welcome, brother. Shalom. Good to see you.
Shalom, shalom, everyone. Hope you all had a good week and getting a good day of rest. Um, Interesting topic today. See what you got coming on here, Vader.
Yeah, and I think this is like one where it's like, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. Like it's an important thing. How much we can do physically about it, is one thing, but there are solutions that we can do to this, and we've actually seen those be implemented in different places around the world. So, of course, we'll go over that tonight, but yeah, I'm excited to talk about it for sure. Let's jump over to brother Kyle. How you doing, brother? Good to see you.
I'm good, brother. Good to see you guys. This is, like you said, this is kind of an important topic that, our people, they perish for lack of knowledge. And I mean, this is one that, if most people just, unglued their faces from their cell phones on a regular basis and looked up, kind of like looking up at the stars at night, they would see these unnatural phenomenons taking place plain as day. So I think, even though it's an obvious thing and there are released government documents admitting what's going on, I think it's an important topic of discussion because amongst most people that you speak to, this is still a conspiracy. It's still just, kind of a hoax made up by a bunch of crazy people.
Yeah, and you literally, like, you can even show people who you maybe have told this about to, and they just kind of outright denied it. Like, hey, here's some evidence showing you that there's been laws put in place, and they're like, so that doesn't mean it's real, and it's just
Right.
it's very interesting. Um,
Yep.
and last but not least, we got BV. BV, good to see you always. It's always a pleasure when you join. So, shalom, brother. How you doing? How you been? Good to say hellos.
Hey, hello all. It's been a long year. Getting back to the swing of things. I broke my tibia and rolled my ankle this beginning of the year, so just getting back to swing of things. Love you guys. I'm just here for fellowship and learn and spread the correct info.
You're muted.
I see. Sorry, guys. So I'm sorry to hear that, brother. I hope you are healing up well. It's never a good thing to have one of your major things that you need to use unaccessible to you. So, but I'm glad you're able to join us tonight. I asked Marcia. I'm guessing she's probably gonna moderate for Sean's video that he's doing. I don't know if it's like a brand new video or a debate review. I'm not sure. I do know Frankie B is going to be on a little bit later, probably about a half hour. I mean, about an hour into the show. So, but yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, let's do a little housekeeping and then we will get straight into the topic because we got so much to share. So let me pull that up real quick. Where are we at? Nope, not that one. Interesting. Okay, it's not up. So did it get... Okay, here it is. There we go. All right, let me pull that up for y'all. All right, first and foremost, I'd like to shout out to Chris and Liz Bailey over there on Take on the World. They allow us to come onto their platform and share our pieces of the puzzle with their family, and we always want to show our appreciation and our gratitude towards them for that. So if you haven't checked them out, definitely do so. And then for those who don't know, we have our own YouTube channel, and that is Circle of the Earth Fellowship. We got lots of different content, over 186 videos of debate reviews, of one-of-a-kind productions, interesting conversations, as well as our normal episodes. We got shorts and all types of things. So if you're interested and would like to support us with no money, that is a great way to do it. Just like likes, comments, and subscriptions all help the channel as well grow. So thank you to all the new recent subscribers. If you'd like to support the channel and get something out of it physically, we do have a merch store, and got hats, mugs, t-shirts, stickers, and other things. I'd like to add more to this, and for those who are interested, have ideas, would like to see something, shout me out. So and then I did recently find this. They actually updated this, and it's kind of interesting with the Drop of Lighthouse beta. But if for those who would like to support the channel, but you already maybe have the merch, if you go to the donate page, it's this page right here, and you can do it a one-time or monthly, and that does come out on the stream, so there will be a notification. So that's the kind of way you support without kind of going around YouTube, and that's through PayPal if you're interested. Okay, so let's get rid of that. And let's discuss a little bit about this about this topic before we get into sharing all that we have to share, and kind of where I like kind of talking about where you were and then where you are now when it comes to this topic, like what you used to kind of think about it, or just weather in general, to now where you're at now. Maybe you retrospectively be like, oh, that really weird, weather occurrence that I had, it makes me think twice. Maybe you have no different changes, but yeah, let's start with you, Robert. What are your thoughts, brother, about this topic?
So I think about that meme, that Bob Ross meme. It shows him painting the skies, and he's like, never saw Bob Ross painting a sky with all the chemtrails across the sky. And I remember now, out there, growing up and looking up at the skies, and I was like right next to Selfridge Air Base, right? So, I mean, there's no lack of jet traffic, airplane traffic, and everything, right? So, but the skies are always very clear, very deep blue. Um, right now, it's like, I mean, when was the last time I saw a deep blue sky around here? Every day you got these um, contrails going across the sky, um, and it's like no, 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 no. And you do see that the weather cloud seeding and whatnot. I mean, that's established fact. So now it gets to a question, where you get into the conspiracy part about to what point do they do? How much do they know what they're doing? How much do they get as uh, unintended consequences of them playing with the weather? So I know they're doing something. You might.
Absolutely, and I think you hit so many of the points that we'll definitely hit tonight. Like we will show that it is well established that indeed they do weather modification. Now we are going to get into some speculation where we don't have outright proof, but I think we're going to be able to make some pretty good hypothesize. We're going to be able to hypothesize about the situation, looking at our the kind of current things that are going on, and it'll definitely be fun. All right, well, let's jump over to you, Kyle. What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a complex topic here because it's not just the chemtrails or the geoengineering from cloud seeding. It's an entire plethora of technology that they use in this, this area that, I mean, it, to me, it's a bigger thing to tackle than just looking up at the contrails in the sky. Like there are multiple things used, surface to air technologies that are used, and it as far as it goes back to the 60s, I would or even the 40s with Operation Popeye, I would say it's probably been going on somewhat of a socialized experimental scale, to some degree. So my thoughts have I my concept of it is that they're trying to be god and they're trying to control the weather through technology, whether that technology has always existed or it's something new. It's strange that people that have come up with these technologies have talked about how we're just that one step closer to becoming um a class one type civilization. It's like the next step in human evolution to control the entire planet. And I mean, it almost falls in line with transhumanism. And I mean, it just, yeah, to me, it just plays right into what Satan has always done. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. I think you made it.
Absolutely, and I think one of the great points you brought up there is specifically how they are how the idea of them wanting to control the weather is also like so many other little things that they try to control. It's like, specifically in scripture, the Father uses, weather multiple times for blessing or for curses, right? And so them being able to manipulate that, God giving us light on the earth, for day and for night, and us making light so that we can stay up, right? And so it's like, of course, those are double-edged swords. Those are for good and for bad. It depends on the intent and how they're used, but we can see, like, specifically with this double-edged sword, how quickly it could be used for negative, right? Like if it was like, oh, these people are in drought, like they're if they don't get water, like they're gonna die, you know what I mean? And they're cloud seeding to then give those people rain. It's like that's how it may be portrayed, but is that necessarily the good thing? Because are they not getting rain for another reason? And so it's a really interesting dichotomy there that they kind of make you have to choose. So and we'll definitely hit on that as well. So yeah, great discussion there. All right, let's jump over to BV. What are your thoughts on weather modification, BV?
Well, before I even knew anything about chemtrails, we all assumed looking up like we were taught that everything was just naturally there. Yes, it just it's not the chemtrail behind it. They're trying to give us something that's uh, an example for that's not correct. Anyway, uh, to sum it up, we got HARP, DARPA, um, what do you want to call it? A couple other ones out there that it takes to make all this happen. And unless you're digging into it like we are, it's harder to see the evidence right in front of your face. I understand why some people are very undecisive about this topic, but I do see that the fact that the evidence is in their face. You know what I mean? It's right there.
And
Anyway,
and so often it's just really coincidentally in their favor, right? Like
right.
where these quote unquote natural phenomenons, where these weather thing patterns and things happen. It just so ends up being coincidence for them, and it's like the wind, and it's almost like the wind is blowing in their favor. Um,
Well, they can use these in ways that people don't think of. If they want to clear out, say, Hawaii, you cause a fire. If you want to clear out, say, where was it? North Carolina or something like that, create a flood. You know what I mean? So then they can come by later on, clean up, and take what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll definitely get into that, and that's obviously kind of a lot of their purposes, right? They live within that Galilean dialectic where they already have the solution to the problem that they cause. Yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. We got a little bit that we're gonna look at real quick. Let me pull this up. Go to this one actually. Go live. Pull this up for everyone. And this is something that Kyle mentioned. We're going to read from this a little bit and then watch some videos about it. So it says, Operation Popeye, project-controlled weather Popeye, motor pool intermediary compatriot, was a military cloud seeding project carried out by the U.S. Armed Force during the Vietnam War, 1967 to 1972. The highly classified program attempted to extend the monsoon season over specific areas of the Ho Chi Minh Trail to disrupt North Vietnamese military supplies by softening road surfaces and causing landslides. The chemical weather modification program was conducted from the Thailand over Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, and allegedly sponsored by the Secretary of State Henry Kissinger. Oh, we know that name, Mr. Kissinger, and the CIA without the authorization of the Secretary of Defense. What? All right, sorry. I have to be a husband. My wife is needs me to literally. She interrupted the stream so that I could undo this for her. Super important. She needs her water. Stay hydrated, people.
That's funny.
And the CIA, without the authorization of the Secretary of Defense, Melvin Liard, who had categorically denied to Congress that a program for modification of the weather for use as a tactical weapon even existed. Okay, so think about that, guys. Oh, how much gaslighting do you think that they did about specifically about this? You know what I mean? Like, how much did they gaslight them to say, oh, this doesn't even exist? What do you believe in? Like, what do you think this is, Star Wars? What do you think this is? Like, so not only did they do that to the government, that in part created it, but they also did it obviously to the American public, because I've dealt with people who literally are like, I'm like, see that? There's a difference. A contrail will disappear shortly after. If you watch these will all collect and fan out and become these huge, wispy, weird looking clouds. And how dare you? Why would they do that? And so, I'm just gonna read. It says, build up a report titled Rainmaker in SEA or CAsia outlines use of lead iodide and silver iodide deployed by aircraft in a program that was developed in California at Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake and tested in Okinawa, Guam, and the Philippines, Texas, and Florida in a hurricane study program called Project Flurry. So we'll look at that at the end. So I'm going to put it over there. Okay, and then this is from May 31st, 1972. It says, Dear Senator Schneewierker, I'm sorry, I have no idea how to pronounce that. This is a response to your request on the September 22nd, 1972 for certain background information on cloud seeding activities carried out in the United States under the program supported by the federal agencies. Pursuant to the specific questions contained in your request, we direct our review toward developing information on cloud seeding programs supported by federal agencies, on the cost and purpose of such programs, on the impact of cloud seeding on the precipitation and severe storms, and on the types of chemicals used for seeding and their effects on the environment. We also obtained data concerning the extent of cloud seeding conducted over Pennsylvania. A review was conducted at various federal departments and agencies headquartered in Washington, D.C., and at certain of their field offices in Colorado and Montana. We interviewed cognizant agency officials and reviewed appropriate records and files of the agencies. In addition, we received pertinent reports and documentations of the Federal Council for Science and Technology and the National Academy of Sciences and the National Water Commission. So this is a whole report on them going into the information on cloud seeding and what that looks like. And so obviously this information was declassified and this information was made known. And so even those that deny it to this day, they literally see, they even if they see this, to them, you know, this is no proof, even though the government has specifically cloud seeding over. So yeah. They're even claiming to do it. So let's watch a couple videos about Operation Popeye.
Operation Popeye is thought to be the first known successful application of weather control technology in warfare. The first flight of the operation took off on March 20th, 1967. A total of 2,602 flights were made in 5 monsoon seasons, from March to November. The 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron executed the cloud seeding procedure using the slogan, "Make mud, not war." Within their squadron, the operation was codenamed Motor Pool. 3 Lockheed C-130 Hercules aircraft and 2 McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom aircraft, based at Udon Thani Royal Thai Air Force Base, were altered and fitted with silver iodide ejectors. The 5 cloud seeding jets had the standard Southeast Asia camouflage colors and markings, but no unit identified.
Oh, that's dumb. That's unfortunate. Okay. Did y'all have audio on that? I just want to make sure. Did everyone hear that? Let me go ahead.
I can hear
that. Okay, y'all could hear it, but could chat hear it? I just want to make sure that they can hear it as well. I'm not sure. AI denies Project Flurry. I was just searching for what year they sprayed Okinawa as my sister lived there. Interesting. Okay, sweet. Glad y'all can hear it. All right, let's keep trucking. We got. Wait, let's. I think this is the same one. Let me pause it real quick. This is the same one. Okay, this is the same one. Apologize.
The 5 cloud seeding jets had the standard Southeast Asia camouflage colors and markings, but no unit identified.
Okay, yeah, same thing. Okay, what's this one? Okay, this is the first. Oh my god, so loud. Okay, let's go here.
As the Vietnam War reached a crossroads, the U.S. Army had important decisions to make if they wanted to tip the scale back to their side. All options were on the table, both conventional and unconventional. And among the most unusual plots was Operation Popeye, launched in an attempt to weaken the Ho Chi Minh Trail, the Viet Cong's most vital mechanism and supply flow tool. To accomplish this, the U.S. would turn the weather into a weapon of war. Operation Popeye utilized cloud seeding technology, a type of weather modification that artificially creates rain or snow. With it, the U.S. military extended at least 5 monsoon seasons, causing detrimental effects to the unknowing Vietnamese citizens and soldiers. The mission spanned 5 years and cost taxpayers over $15 million. Despite multiple hearings in Congress, military officers, and even President Nixon himself denied it existing at all. The Vietnam War was, for many reasons, unlike any other war American soldiers had ever seen. Instead of a standard campaign frontline, where the American army had more than enough experience, the Vietnam War's battles were fought in the dense South Vietnam jungle. This was an isolated region filled with mountains, animals, and endless greenery. The Viet Cong's most significant advantage over the U.S. in this region was the Ho Chi Minh Trail, a logistics network made up of dirt pads and hand-dug tunnels. It had secret bunkers, barracks, and even a few hospitals. All were cleverly hidden from American aircraft looking for them in reconnaissance missions. With its extensive web of roads and handmade paths, the trail helped the Viet Cong carry massive amounts of manpower, weapons, food, and other war material from one side of the country to the other.
Do you think they had like tactical water where the water only hurt the combatants? It didn't, wash away anybody's houses or farms or their animals. It's like they literally, they make it seem like they had tactical water. It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, like there weren't innocent people who were hurt by their tactical water.
Yeah, make mud, not war. It's like, no, attacking someone's land is making war. Just because you're not attacking them with a bullet or a bomb, it's so dumb.
Yeah, it's just another form of warfare. Like kind of going back to the whole Vajra thing, with ancient India, where they could control the weather with that weapon. It was always it could always be a weapon, and like you said, it's in a weapon in the Father's hands as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's keep checking.
At over 1,000 miles in length, the trail ran from North to South Vietnam and extended through the kingdoms of Laos and Cambodia. The U.S. military attempted to destroy the trail with never-ending bombing campaigns. More bombs were dropped on Laos than in Germany and Japan combined in World War II. But none of the tactics were entirely effective. Even Agent Orange wasn't up to the task.
Oh, so they were even willing to dump Agent Orange, which had unknown horrible effects for a long time. That people are scared of orange. No, they of nukes, but like, wow, they have things that are bad. Like, don't get me wrong, like they have bad things, but they're not splitting some atom. But I digress.
The trail network was so vast and complex that if one of the paths were closed, all Viet Cong soldiers had to do was find a secondary way back to their base. But there was one thing that significantly slowed the supply flow on the Ho Chi Minh Trail. Rain turned the trails into muddy messes, rendering them too difficult to supply vehicles to maneuver. Vietnam is known for having one of the world's longest monsoon seasons, usually running from April to October. June, July, and August are the months with the heaviest rain. And so the Department of Defense decided to attempt to recreate this process. Their goal was to try to control the weather and extend the monsoon season for as long as they could. To achieve this, they resorted to cloud seeding. This process is thought to have originated in 1946 by Vincent Schaefer, a chemist employed by General Electric. Cloud seeding is a method for artificially producing rain or snow. It requires modifying a cloud's chemical structure to boost the chances of precipitation with the added substance of silver iodide, which works as a condensation agent. There are two ways to disperse cloud seeding agents, either using large cannons to shoot the particles into the sky, or using airplanes to drop the particles from above. Throughout the planning period, the program went by several names to maintain its secrecy. Operation Popeye ended up being its official name. In a memorandum sent in January 1967 from Deputy Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Foy D. Kohler to then Secretary of State Dean Rusk, Kohler described Project Popeye's goals, stating, quote, "The objective is to inhibit overland vehicular movement and to reinforce the bottlenecks already created at stream crossings by the bombing of bridges and ferry installations. With respect to Laos, the objective is to extend rainfall through the dry season, keeping the ground as near the saturation point as possible and obstructing traffic that normally fords streams during the low water period. By generating rain, the American Army would slow the Viet Cong's truck traffic, impairing the supply flow throughout the trail and leaving them more susceptible to other attacks." Kohler also believed that cloud seeding was relatively more ethical than common warfare, stating, quote, "With respect to North Vietnam, we believe that as an interdiction measure, Popeye operations would be less harmful to the population and area affected than bombing. For Operation..."
Okay, I gotta take a pause and do something real quick. Let me get rid of this just for a second so I don't spoil it. All right, this is literally we've seen this exact thing and in popular media.
One day, it started raining. Didn't quit for 4 months. We've been through every kind of rain there is. But a stinging rain, and big old fat rain, rain that flew in sideways, and sometimes rain even seemed to come straight up from underneath. Shoot, it even rained at night.
Shoot, it even
know, right,
rained
Chief?
at night. It's rained from upwards and sideways.
Popeye to be successful.
What was that, BV?
No, I was just saying that, this is spot on. They tell us behind the scenes about everything. Actually, now to our face.
Yeah. No, right? And it's like, people are just like, yeah, it just started raining. And it's like, oh, it's just nope, that.
And then it just stopped raining.
Yep, and then one day it just stopped raining.
It had to be carried out with the utmost secrecy.
It was so pacifist for them to make it rain instead of drop bombs that they had to hide that they were manipulating the weather. They didn't have to hide that they were dropping bombs. Yeah, makes lots of sense there.
If information about America playing God and controlling the weather came out, there might be speculation about man-made alterations in other climatic anomalies they had no connection with.
Ooh, I wonder.
However, American planners were also convinced that their intervention on the weather would inevitably be discovered. According to Deputy Undersecretary Kohler's memo, quote, "In the first place, the altered weather will be observable, in contrast to the experimental phase conducted during normally rainy periods. Disclosure of planned weather experiments in India would make it likely that the connection would become apparent. Secondly, the possibility of a U.S. seeding aircraft being downed cannot be discounted. Thirdly, there is virtually no aspect of military operations in Southeast Asia which has not over time become the subject of leaks, or at least of speculation in the press." Operation Popeye is thought to be the first known successful application of weather control technology in warfare. The first flight of the operation took off on March 20th, 1967. A total of 2,602 flights were made in 5 monsoon seasons, from March to November. The 54th Weather Reconnaissance Squadron executed the cloud seeding procedure using the slogan, "Make mud, not war." Within their squadron, the operation was codenamed Motor Pool. This was Operation Popeye.
Google, Wikipedia, and all other information authorities tell us that for sure these are just silly conspiracy theories. I mean, come on, how could the government be spraying toxic chemicals into our skies to control the weather? You have got to be a very silly moron to believe such nonsense. Really? Have you ever heard this statement from President John F. Kennedy?
We shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
And did you know what former CIA Director John Brennan has said?
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do.
So, it's not a conspiracy theory after all?
One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI.
But why are Google and Wikipedia and all the other major platforms lying about it? I wonder. Here we see a news channel plainly explaining what solar geoengineering is.
Hi, I'm Femi OK. Today on the stream, could blocking out the sun actually help reduce the temperature down here on Earth? Let me show you what I mean. For instance, you could have material pumped into our stratosphere. That material could reflect the sun's rays or solar energy all the way back to the sun, meaning that we down here are kept cooler. That is a very basic, rudimentary understanding of solar geoengineering.
Another news station did a more in-depth investigation into chemtrails.
Could a strange substance found by a southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention. Well, tonight, KSLA News 12 investigation reporter Jeff Farrell shows us the results of testing we had done about what's in our skies.
It seemed like some mornings it was just crisscrossing the whole sky. It was just like a giant checkerboard.
Bill Nichols snapped several photos of the strange clouds from his home in Stamps, Arkansas. They begin as normal contrails from a jet engine, but do not fade away like a normal contrail. Soon after, he saw particles in the air.
You know, because we'd see it drop to the ground in a haze.
Nichols then noticed the material collecting on the ground.
This is water and stuff that I collected in bowls. I had it set out in my backyard on my dad's pickup truck.
KSLA News 12 had the sample tested at a lab. The results? A high level of barium, 6.8 parts per million. More than 3 times the toxic level set by the EPA.
Armed with these lab results about the high levels of barium found in our sample, we decided to contact the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality. They told us that yes, these levels are very unusual, but at the same time they added the caveat that proving the source is a whole nother matter.
Barium is a hallmark of other chemtrail testing, which even attracted attention from a Los Angeles TV station. There's already no shortage of unclassified weather modification programs by the government. But those who fear chemtrails could be secret biological or chemical testing on the public point to the 1977 Senate hearings in particular, which confirmed 239 populated areas had been contaminated with biological agents between 1949 and 1969. Later, the 1994 Rockefeller Report concluded hundreds of thousands of military personnel were also subjected to secret biological experiments over the last 60 years. But could secret testing be under
Last video is probably from the 90s. Just look at the computer screens.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting how the Kissingers, the Rockefellers, why do their names always come up in all of these different all these subjects? And one thing that I kind of just I'd never really thought about, and it kind of came to me as we were watching that, is think about solar power and how actually pretty efficient that it is, definitely with the new modern technologies that we have, and how by blocking out the sun with these things you would reduce the amount of power that solar would produce, right? And you would need that in fossil fuels to make up for. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And then we got Rockefeller mentioned, right? So funny enough, but this is interesting stuff. Oh, there we go. Let's pull that back up and keep chugging. Oh, wrong button.
And again,
I'd rather it be something inert and benign, something that's, not causing any damage, but I'd like to know what it is.
KSLA News 12 discovered chemtrails are even mentioned by name in the initial draft of House Bill 2977 back in 2001 under the Space Preservation Act. But the military denies any such program exists. Jeff Farrell, KSLA News 12 reporting.
And, it turns out until 9 years ago, the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions. Only a public outcry repealed part of that law, with some exceptions.
Now, Jeff's report mentioned high levels of barium linked to those alleged chemtrails. We wanted to find out exactly what effects barium has on the body. We spoke with Mark Ryan, the director of the Poison Control Center. Ryan tells KSLA News 12 that short-term exposure can lead to anything from stomach to chest pains. Long-term exposure causes blood pressure problems. Ryan addressed concerns by chemtrail researchers that barium could be meant to wear down a person's immune system.
Anything that causes ill effects in the body long-term, chronically, is going to affect your ability because it's constantly working on the body. So from that aspect, yeah, that's a potential.
An expert on the matter, Rosalind Peterson, explained the severe risks of these programs during a climate conference of the United Nations.
Weather modification programs, experimental ones done by private companies, done by the United States government, done by states across the United States, are underway. There's more than
if at any point anyone wants to chime up about something that's said, please feel free to do so, and I will mute it and let you make your point. Just want to throw that out there.
50 of them in operation across the United States. None of these programs that I know of today, and this is all public record, are available at any time with oversight, agricultural oversight or public oversight. These programs impact agriculture, and there are programs around the world. International corporations are modifying our weather all the time, and they're modifying it in ways that cover thousands and thousands of square miles. Most of it is chemically altered, so that what happens is that we are putting chemicals, ground-based chemicals that are shot into the air, or chemicals coming from airplanes that change and modify our weather. So one of the things that I'm concerned about and that we need to address in the future is how these programs are impacting microclimates needed for our crops to survive and needed for pollination.
Interesting point that I heard you kind of throw out there, BV, is like this is from like the 70s, right? This is old footage. And so they were already talking about isn't it interesting how somehow all of that was lost in we're almost having to re-engage the Congress, the
Right.
Senate, for them to start making bills and banning this type of thing above their states. So this is old footage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very interesting. Alrighty, we'll play a little bit of this and then we're gonna move on. Oh, wrong button.
If we change the growing season, the pollinators may not survive, and also our crops, our flowers, and our tree crops may not get the pollination needed. So one of my areas is
Bye-bye
looking
bees.
at this situation to see.
What was that, BB?
I was saying bye-bye bees, like we've noticed lately with certain bugs and stuff like that in the last few years. We're seeing less and less and less. Even flies. I live in northern Michigan. I usually see flies here all over. Last year or two, hardly any flies. Like it's getting worse and worse as we go, like a boiling frog technique.
Yeah, and Kyle just said creating the boogeyman climate change has always been their goal, and that's totally true. And it's like, again, the Galilean dialectic, like they cause the problem. They are manipulating the weather that are causing the global warnings, right? They're warning us about this and about that and about that because they're causing it. The reason why they're warning is like, it's like a guy like, oh, take one more step towards me and I'm going to punch you in the face. And then they punch you in the face. It's like, well, I warned you, right? And it's like that they're
right.
And it's so ridiculous. Alrighty.
Except for they're the one in that metaphor going, stay right there and I'm going to punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Okay, you're still sitting there. All right.
Yeah.
You don't do anything about it, so we're just going to keep dropping this stuff on top of you.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. And so, but it's interesting how, like, look at what she's wearing. This is some old footage, and the fact that
From the 90s.
You think this is 90s?
That's 90s.
Okay, so 90s, but think about, this was talked about in the 90s, and then in the 2000s, people are calling us conspiracy theories for talking about, hey, look at those, you know what I mean? Because they may have been doing it for a while, but I know, like, there was, like, we all remember, like, how much it just, like, oh my God, it's like all the time now. It's not like we saw it every once in a while. It's like every day, almost every day we're seeing these patterns. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Here in northern Michigan, I used to see. Go ahead. I'll go after.
No, please finish what you're saying.
Oh, just quickly. Northern Michigan, I see, or every year we used to get like Halloween came along. We got our first snow. By Christmas, we already had like a foot or two for a month or two by that point. And then it started going away in early, late February, early March. Now, I'm not seeing any snow till after the first of the year, and it goes away within 2 months. So with whatever they're doing over in these other areas or even here, it affects everybody. People don't realize it just doesn't affect that one little area they're doing. It affects everything. Go ahead.
It's a chain. Totally, it's a chain reaction. Absolutely. Go ahead, Kyle.
Yeah, I was just piggybacking on what you were saying, how it's like every single day, to the point where I see, people who don't research any of this stuff and, maybe know very little, they take notice to the days that they aren't spraying. They're like, wow, look how blue the sky is.
Exactly.
There's no trails. They're like, it's like those very few days stick out and the rest are just covered in this. It's not the exception to the rule anymore. The exception to the rule is those nice days, that they're not.
Right.
Yeah, where you're totally right. You're like, oh wow, it's such a beautiful day. Thank you, Jews. I kid. All right, let's keep moving because so this is Operation Paperclip. Operation Popeye, kind of going forward, And of course, the trend is kind of continuing. And that was just one, right? That was one application, cloud seeding via atmospheric injection. But they have other methods too. And so let's look at some of those. We'll get to their... I might save this one for... because I think we have a dues coming up. So I'm going to put it here at the end. Maybe we'll watch it. But, okay, what's this one?
The U.S. Army Chemical Corps Proving Ground, tests were conducted using an F-100 aircraft equipped with an experimental spray device developed by one of the large aviation companies. One purpose of these tests was to establish the feasibility of producing BW aerosols in the most effective particle size range as a low-level line source from high-speed aircraft. Wind tunnel tests had shown that effective aerosols could be produced by discharging the BW agent into a high-velocity airstream. To confirm the wind tunnel test data, an aerial mission was conducted using a BW incapacitating agent. Flying at subsonic speed, the F-100 disseminated the liquid agent along a 15-mile line upwind of the test grid. Data from these tests were used to determine the effective coverage that could be expected with an operational type spray system employing the basic principles of the experimental device. This study showed that one fighter aircraft flying on the deck and dispensing 2 wing tanks of a liquid BW agent would cause infection in more than 50% of the populace in an area 125 miles long by 30 miles deep. 3 large aircraft could release sufficient agent to infect over 50% of the people in an area equivalent to a belt 140 miles wide, extending from New York to Chicago, comparable to the total area of Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana.
Okay, that was a video of the U.S. Air Force in the 40s.
What about the ozone? Spraying all those aerosols.
Oh, they're not spraying hairspray, bro. They're doing scientific stuff. It's not just...
He's talking about spraying pathogens over cities. What does this look like to y'all? It's a path of spray. Wish I could control this part. This is from yesterday, people. I'm only going to have a few seconds here. But...
You know, hey, Vader, during the beer bug, they were spraying a lot. And it was heavy barium probably in it, which lowered people's immune system. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, dude. I think it has multi-purposes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Whenever they sprayed a lot, and I was always wondering why. I thought it was the barometric pressure, but it was probably the barium.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. All right, let's check this out. This is from Good Morning America. I'm going to have to kind of play this quickly.
Now, with our network-wide focus on the power of...
Look at that beautiful... Yeah, that's what it looks like. So
that
stupid. Oh, my God. It looks so stupid like that.
Water. Just this week, a stretch of the Colorado River was named the most endangered river in the United States as overuse and climate change threaten this national treasure.
But we are now learning about an innovative practice being used to help combat these effects and give Mother Nature a much needed boost. ABC Chief Meteorologist Ginger Z has more on that. Take a look.
The Colorado River, called the hardest working river in the United States, is in danger.
This is due to 2 causes: reductions in precipitation and increased air temperatures.
The river provides hydropower to 7 states, irrigation to more than 5 million acres of farmland, drinking water to 40 million Americans, and of course, the breathtaking whitewater rapids running through the Grand Canyon. All of it threatened by more than 2 decades in a megadrought. We can't just flip a switch like Colonel Joe Moore in Mad Max Fury Road. But we do have a superpower. Straight out of science fiction's X-Men: The Last Stand. It's called weather modification, or cloud seeding.
We can't create...
Wait, bro, they're literally causing the problem. They're doing all this weather modification that is causing droughts in other places. So then they say, oh, well, we need to do cloud seeding in order to, you know, stop the drought from having. So let's go ahead and do more geoengineering to change it here, which then changes it somewhere else. It's so preposterous.
There's definitely got to be a domino effect.
You're muted again.
I was just gonna say, BV, you're gonna say something?
No, I was just making a quick comment on that. Exactly.
All right. Let's play a little bit more of this.
Cloud. There has to be an existing storm system.
We just give it a bump.
Yeah.
Garrett Kamens heads up one of the largest cloud seeding companies in the U.S. Has the desperation in the megadrought made the interest in the U.S.? We just give it a bump.
Yeah.
Garrett Kamens heads up one of the largest cloud seeding companies in.
So it's a private company that cloud seeds? Interesting. Smells like plausible deniability.
The U.S. Has the desperation in the megadrought made the interest in cloud seeding skyrocket?
Oh, definitely.
So wouldn't it be in your interest there, company, to cause droughts to then have people come to you to pay them to... Oh, my Lanta.
There are currently 42 cloud seeding projects across the American West, like this one in Utah, where they take planes like this with flares attached. They fly right into the storm and send microscopic particles into the cloud.
Pause it real quick. People don't realize that if you're wealthy and you live in any area pretty much, you can pay them to make it nice for that week, or you want it rainy. They can make it rain. That's all public knowledge. It's been like that for like 10 or 15 years.
And I actually know that they do that. See, it just talked about Utah. They'll do this if they need more snow on the mountains for these high value resorts that are here.
So if I don't like you, I could pay somebody to make it rain over your Christmas party. That's funny.
Yeah, it is.
Magnets for water droplets, bonding together until they are heavy enough to fall to the ground as rain or snow. At the University of Colorado, researchers are working on artificial intelligence to deploy cloud seeding drones.
And it's not just cloud seeding from the sky. There are hundreds of those things. That shack you see in the foreground is a ground-based cloud seeder. The little flame coming out is sending tiny silver iodide particles up into the sky. When a storm comes through, they go up to 2,000 feet above our head, into the storm, up those mountains, and make more snow than it naturally would.
While cloud seeding has been helping get every last drop out of some of the driest years on record, this past winter, Mother Nature came through. The Southern Rockies, which feed the Colorado River, got more than 4 times their average snow. But experts say it's still not enough. As much as cloud seeding is a boost or a help, it's not a solution. The main solution is
conservation.
Cloud seeding is most successful in wet years, so this was a huge winter for them.
And by the way, we have already conserved a lot of water over here, and would y'all be cool with giving us the rights to water, owning all water?
They actually stopped early because Mother Nature was giving up so much.
Oh.
You're muted.
We got enough. We got 4 times what we averagely get. So let's stop on the whole weather manipulation.
And there's also a greenhouse effect that they do, where it gets like real warm here in the Northeast. I'm near Pennsylvania and Jersey, and it gets like real warm out of season. Like
Totally.
November and December. One Christmas, we all wore shorts to a Christmas party. It was crazy.
That's
Because they were
climate
feeding
change.
us.
I've painted in Michigan, New Year's Eve. I was painting my mom's windows outside, and it was warm enough because I was in my t-shirt and shorts, and it dried and everything. That, like you're talking about, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's literally what they claim is like, oh, it's all the cows farting and the greenhouse gases are, trapping the sun's, energy within, the layers of the atmosphere, and it superheats the earth. But in reality, if you're spraying the sky with a reflective, metal, yet you're doing the exact same thing you're claiming is being done.
Same thing with the beer bug.
Yep,
Right.
That's what they did during the beer bug. I know they did it in my area.
I wonder if sometimes they have one that directly blocks the sun heat from hitting the earth, but then they also have one that allows the sun to go through it on one side, but then like it bounces between the ground and the causing it to be like a little brighter or warmer than it normally would be.
I think that's what happens anyway.
I also think it causes allergies too, because my allergies go up in the winter.
Absolutely.
And usually allergies are summer and fall season, and a spring and fall season. But in the winter, I'll get allergy attacks when it's real heavy cloudy. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
When I'm scraping metal particulates off my windshield, there's an issue.
All right, let's check this out. This is from Top Gear.
This is the shuttle's fuel tank. It may only be 130 miles to space, but to cover that distance, the engines will...
This is not owned by me or this channel. We are commenting on this for entertainment value.
use 500,000 gallons of fuel, and that works out at 2 feet to the gallon. Despite the cost, however, NASA does need to test these engines once in a while. So they built this place in the wetlands of Mississippi. The first thing they installed was a huge loudspeaker, through which they played white noise to simulate the sound of a rocket. They then sent a number of trucks in different directions out into the wilderness, and the drivers were ordered to stop when the noise levels became acceptable. This gave them an imaginary boundary line, and anyone living on the inside of it was offered a simple choice. Stay, and you'll never hear another television program as long as you live. Or take the NASA shilling and get out. No one stayed, and NASA ended up with exactly what it wanted. 125,000 acres of nothing.
That's why they need the $68 million a day.
82.
Is it 82 now?
It's 82. And I got a question real quick. We're watching this footage, and they're talking about this place where things are basically sitting there, and they have to test them every once in a while to make sure they're correct. Well, where do they take off from? Because I don't think there's any launch paths around that facility. So what I'm getting at here is, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say even if there is one close, but if they're doing this in just like one area, I don't see them hauling those big engines all across the USA to go to the spots where they go. I mean, I'm just thinking quickly. I might be overstepping my bounds there, but it just looks like a facility they designed so they can just weather modify and claim it to be for this reason.
You're muted.
You're muted.
Yeah, for as a disguise. All they have to do is make the equipment look like it's a rocket, slap a NASA logo on the side of the building, and boom, you have cover for this manipulation right in kind of in probably a pretty important spot.
Yeah, I'd like to see if there's a launching facility near there. You know, that'd be your answer right there. We don't see them moving them all across to Florida
And
or
what,
where you know.
guarantee if you use one rocket is the other rocket like gonna work? Like that,
Right, because you're gonna have to test all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You only get one shot, supposedly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. All right, let's keep chugging.
They even had to move 5 cemeteries because the noise they were planning on making would wake the dead. Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying. I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest.
Now, the most amazing thing is that that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will actually rain. I told you! It's raining! That's unbelievable! Oh. NASA's playing God. It's making its own weather.
No.
Can you back that up? Can you back that up about 20, 30 seconds?
Dang it autoplayed. 1 second.
That's unbelievable.
He had a different shirt on, so that was at a different time.
Did it? I don't think he did he?
The engine is
it's
just
the
a
same
mixture
shirt.
of hydrogen and oxygen.
Oh,
It's water vapor.
it is? Okay, never mind. It looks like a different color to me.
Yeah, I think it's because it gets wet and so it's darker.
Ah, good point. Good point. I'm like, it's a different day.
So as I was saying earlier, it's not just seed cloud. Like it's not just spraying. They can make a rocket test happen and create a whole cloud system. But there's also the HAARP or the HARP. Well, let's check this
Center
out.
of Circulation. My name is Scott Stevens. I studied meteorology at the University of Kansas, and that was my first TV job. Was on the air. Was in Topeka, and I worked in Omaha and Tulsa, Albany, New York, and then out into eastern Idaho in the Pocatello, Idaho Falls market for the last 10 years of my 20-year career doing weather. It wasn't until about 2005 when I got deep into the weather modification aspect of this story of geoengineering. One of the parts of the program that is very important that plays into the chemtrails is the precision of these actions in the atmosphere. These chemtrails are absolutely required, so they introduce the right energy at the right location for the right length of time. These trails are wires in the sky.
The combined technologies like HARP and the chemtrails were designed to work together as weather weapons.
HARP, the High Frequency Active Auroral Research Project. It is filled with phased array antennas. They steer microwaves into the ionosphere where they will activate all of the ions up there.
They can use excitation waves that actually affect the metallic particles. So we've ionized the air column. They can heat it. They can cool it. HARP has directional antennas, and they can focus their antennas on where they want to move the jet stream, and they can hit the jet stream, and they create an artificial high.
If you accentuate the high, if you amplify a little bit, it's like building a mound of dirt, and you have a little creek or a little stream of water coming. You build the mound of dirt, that water's not going to go through it. So you build the mound, and then that's going to impact storms that are inbound. And so it's very easy to add those particulates of aluminum, barium, and whatever else they want to put in there. And as you add heat to that, those particulates then radiate the heat into the atmosphere, and it warms. And what does a warming atmosphere do? Boom, it expands. We see more intense droughts. We see rainfall rates of 1 to 2.25 inches an hour, and sometimes even rainfall, 1.25 inches a minute. It's just unheard of. And so when you get the atmosphere capable of conducting this kind of electricity, plus the engineers, you're going to end up with weather that is extreme, and that's putting it kindly.
When they move the jet stream, it then pushes up into the polar vortex. The polar vortex really can only move when there's something impacting it, like HAARP.
They can heat up that ionosphere. So when the jet stream comes in, it hits that bubble and it diverts. The jet stream flow that is normal brings precipitation and brings the jet stream right into California. And then it brings storm systems with it. It brings rain.
The jet stream got pushed off of the coast of California. It dried us up and took all our moisture away and pushed the jet stream north. And when it hit the polar vortex, it then was ricocheted straight down the east coast.
What we've been getting, very warm, very dry conditions.
Like, just from watching this, I feel like they're almost setting it up to be like, okay, yes, this has been going on, but we didn't want to talk about it because something that seemingly is happening to me is that where they spray, that doesn't affect until down the board. So they almost have to go, like, quote unquote upwind and release it there, and then to hit their affected place. And so what if they come out and they say, okay, China, Russia, whatever, the reason why we are doing this and the way that we're doing it is because they're assaulting us, and we've been secretly doing it because this is actually, we could declare war on this, but I just feel like they could play it in that type of way.
You're thinking right.
Yeah, but let's keep checking. No one else says anything.
In California, but in terms of the Arctic and in the Midwest, it's swinging all of that moisture, all that cold air.
You can kill a storm in place. That's easy to do with HAARP. You'll see the texture and the structure of the storm just melt, and it will become just this diffuse, amorphous, featureless mess. And that was one of the big epiphanies I had in forecasting. Anticipating a winter storm coming through, you've got to set forecast out that night, and you're waiting for the snow to start. You're waiting for the snow to start. And you're waiting for the snow to start, and it just doesn't. And you go outside, and you see a warming zone begin to show up on the satellite loops. The clouds literally just begin to warm. And then that collapses the potential of the storm to put down the moisture. It's done. It's shot.
Hey, I'm pretty sure they can only do this on a flat Earth model. They can't do this.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
With the whole
Yeah, they need an enclosed environment to have the pressure anyways, so for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let's check this out. Because this goes right what I was saying with other countries. Other countries are doing it, which impacts us, so we have to do it. So even if we banned it, if we banned it here, it'd only be bad for us because the other countries are doing it and it's affecting us. They could play this so many ways.
Weather. Cloud seeding is a form of weather modification that can produce what we want more or less of, more rain or snow, or even smaller hail pellets. China is building the world's largest weather modification system to artificially enhance rain that will cover an area of over 2.1 million square miles by 2025. Today, at least 52 countries across the globe are using some sort of weather modification program. While it may sound too good to be true, the technology has been around for more than 75 years. Clouds are made up of tiny water droplets. Groups of droplets form water vapor, or ice crystals. By itself, this water vapor isn't dense enough to fall to the ground as precipitation. Instead, it rises until it becomes supercooled and condenses around tiny particles of dust in the sky, called condensation nuclei. It takes billions of these condensed water droplets to form a visible cloud. In cloud seeding, a seeding agent is used as the condensation nuclei. Typical seeding agents are chemicals such as silver iodide, potassium iodide, or solid carbon dioxide. These are shot into clouds by rockets or sprayed into clouds using drones or aircraft. Unattached supercooled water vapor molecules in the clouds condense around these particles. The condensed water vapor droplets then group together, becoming larger and heavier. This process continues until the droplets are large enough to fall as rain. Recently, the UAE created artificial rain using drones. These drones targeted certain clouds with electrical discharges through concentrated lasers to force water droplets to pool in the air, triggering the desired rainfall. Today, the largest cloud seeding system in the world is found in China. China creates 55 billion tons of artificial rain a year. Other countries are also looking to ramp up cloud seeding efforts in the hope of increasing precipitation. Thailand has an ambitious aim to remove water shortages in 98% of the country's drought-affected areas by 2037. The idea behind cloud seeding is to create rain in regions that are most affected by droughts, thus reducing the impact of droughts. In 2015, cloud seeding increased the local rainfall in Texas by about. Technology can also be used to manage hail. According to an estimate, hailstorms in the U.S. cause an average of $15 billion in damage to homes, cars, and crops each year. Cloud seeding increases the number of ice pellets in hail-producing clouds, but decreases the size of each pellet. This can reduce the damage caused by hail. Cloud seeding can also.
Who does that save money for? The corporations.
But there is a catch. For cloud seeding to work, specific atmospheric conditions must exist. Cloud seeding can't create clouds. It can only add particles to clouds which interact with the water vapor already present in the air.
Wrong.
It does not always go as planned.
Exactly.
In 2009, China performed cloud seeding in an attempt to end a drought, resulting in a temperature drop and a snowstorm that closed roads around Beijing. There are also concerns about unwanted ecological changes. Rain in one area might bring drought to another, which could lead to ecological imbalances. After all, water that falls from.
It could totally happen. It could happen.
Where it cannot be absorbed into the ground, then it could trigger flooding. Today, water shortages and floods affect every continent. Around 1.2 billion people, or almost 1/5 of the world's population.
Okay.
Interesting how they're like, it doesn't actually make clouds. It's like, well, yeah, I guess that doesn't add H2O, hydrogen, whatever, to the air. But they can make clouds, and it definitely looks like they're making clouds with how it, just totally white out the entire sky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they can't make natural clouds from God. That's true.
Right.
Silver iodide on Google, just those words, silver iodide. And like the first thing that comes up is it's a crystalline material often used for weather modification applications, such as cloud seeding. It's like people still think chemtrails aren't real. They still think they aren't spraying stuff. It's just like they're open about it. It's not even up for debate at this point. Like nothing is natural anymore. You can't just say, oh, there's a sickness going around. Gosh, everybody's catching it. It's like, well, is everybody catching a sickness that's going around, or has everybody had their immune system destroyed, or is whatever happening to your body the result of some new mutation in the genetically modified virus that they released on purpose? Like, you're not sick, you're under attack. Is the weather a little bit muggy, or are the people that are controlling the weather making it muggy? Your sickness isn't natural, the weather isn't natural, your food isn't natural, your water isn't natural, nothing is natural anymore. You are under attack from every different angle. At what point do you...
Your mind is a prison planet there. I can't even remember what that Harrison. Okay. This is the guy that was gonna join us, but ended up not, right, Robert? John Fleetwood?
Oh. No.
Oh, okay.
That's not the guy.
Okay.
But I did get snatch that link off from his page.
Ex-U.S. Air Force officer exposes government's weather modification and control activities. I actually have that up right here. But before we actually play that, let's that previous video was talking about them using drones and doing electrical discharges with lasers. So taking that into account, let's check this out real quick.
Hurricane Helene to the massive flooding going on in New Mexico. This is insane. First off, we got to get this out of the way. We know weather modification is just a theory. We are just spitballing here. But I want to show you something that
No, it's not a theory, brother.
has to do with the
Yeah, no, you're right. With Doppler, you can see it.
And I'm going to show you an example where you can literally see weather being created over Area 51. It then gets shot with radar beams and then turns into a storm a few hundred miles in size. And you see it flow right through Arizona and into New Mexico. My friends, check this out. All right, in order to start understanding how this compares to Hurricane Helene and why this flooding was so bad, all you need to do is look at the last couple days, and what you're seeing is a low pressure system right here, literally spinning counterclockwise for multiple days in the same spot. It does not move.
That's because of the rotation of the Earth.
This alone is very rare to have a stalled out system just sitting for days, specifically in the southwest of the United States. And as we move to current time, we can see this basically just lifted off that area, and people are wondering why this flood took place. But what they don't understand is how rare of a situation it is and how close this was to exactly what happened with Hurricane Helene. And I'm going to explain that right now. All right, and here we are. So what we're looking for is another stalled out low pressure system. We can see it right here. This came down from Canada as Hurricane Helene was approaching the west coast of Florida, and it just sat there. And what happened was the hurricane eventually made landfall and then swung up towards that low pressure system, and once they get close enough, they begin to interact. We call this the Fujiwara effect. And as you can see, that stalled out low pressure system completely affects Hurricane Helene and makes it bend into the west. And that's what puts this storm in North Carolina, Asheville, and the severe flooding we saw in Tennessee and western North Carolina. Again, my friends, this would not have happened if this low pressure system was not stalled out and kept in the middle of the United States right here. It's as if this thing was sitting here waiting to interact with the hurricane for it then to cause the hurricane to shoot in a western direction after making landfall. This is super rare for this to happen, but there it is, my friends. So somehow, some way, these low pressure systems are being put in place, and now when we jump back to the New Mexico situation, you can see we are dealing with this same exact situation. A low pressure system stalled out, not moving an inch right or left. Super, super rare for these to just stay in one spot, and then there came the moisture right there. So you see this red, that is eventually after a day of this spinning here, it's pulling up that moisture from the Pacific over Mexico, and then boom, explodes into Roswell, New Mexico. And that, my friends, is why I'm showing you how a lot of this can originate from places like Area 51, where there's no eyes seeing anything that's going on in the skies there. We had something being dropped in the sky, and then it was activated by those radar, and then eventually became a massive storm that was flowing across Arizona and right into New Mexico. All right, and just take a look at them right next to each other. Two different major weather situations causing devastating flooding, both of which were caused by a stalled out low pressure system that's already a rare situation on its own, and then it is then activated to then cause this flooding because these systems did not move. They just stayed over the same place, dumping feet of rain, and in turn, my friends, becomes another devastating flood. All right, so now I have this full clip that we can break down, and you might be able to understand a little bit more. So this is what's happening here. We have a radar anomaly popping up, and as you can see, this is taking place directly over Area 51. So that's where this is originating from. These dots are being dropped over Area 51 and then shot with these lasers. And just to get everyone oriented, you can see right here, it is directly over Area 51. This is not made up. This is actually being dropped over that private property. And now we're going to go into detail and watch how they enhance it in real time. We're going to be watching this little speckle anomaly, and you're going to see it get zapped 2 different times. I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and you're going to see 2 zaps hit it, and just as that happens, another part of this begins to peel off. Watch this. 1, 2. And as soon as that happens, this part peels right off. Let's backtrack, and you're going to see the 2 beams. Here is 1 right there. There is the second right there. And then watch as this little system here gets bigger with a piece of it trailing off right after the beams hit it. This is unbelievable stuff, and you could see that it's also being shot from different radar towers as it scoots across the states here. Now keep in mind how big this is. This is an entire state right here. This is Nevada. Let's backtrack and see how big this thing gets over time. It begins as just these little dots. It gets hit with that double zap, and then here we go. Watch how this thing changes. Watch how fast it's moving. And
yeah, so at this point, brother, there is no theory. It's already been proven, and we've shown that over and over and over. Here, Project Storm Fury was an attempt to weaken tropical cyclones by flying aircrafts into them and seeding them with silver iodide. So if you best believe, if they're trying to weaken tropical cyclones, then they're trying to strengthen them, and they're trying to manipulate them, and they're trying to steer them. And we know recently that North Carolina got these floods from these, hurricanes. And of course, just coincidentally, that whole area was being eyed for its minerals.
Right.
Just a coincidence, though, right?
Yeah, is that what the lithium fields? Or where they wanted to...
Yep. Yeah, so let's check... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, Katrina was probably the first one they really unleashed it. And then Superstorm Sandy, after that on the East Coast. And then the one that hit Puerto Rico, like in 2018. And they've just been doing it more ramped up ever since.
Yeah, it's all the global warnings.
Oh yeah, that's just part of that's their cover.
Yeah. All right. So this U.S. former Air Force. Let's check her out. This is
our next speaker is someone who could tell you firsthand about geoengineering. Her name is Kristen Megan, and it's taken her a lot of guts to come here and speak what she has to say. So give her a big hand.
This presentation has been brought to you by Gigi Bowman for State Senate and Oath Keepers.
All right, first off, I just want to, I know everyone else has said it, but I really appreciate everybody that has come out here today. It's not just showing up and supporting an event, it's actually listening to those of us who are here to share a message. So, as it was presented to you, I'm here to speak to you about geoengineering. First thing I want to ask you is, who doesn't believe it exists? Anybody here on the fence? Okay. Well, hopefully when you leave here today, you don't just believe it. You share the information that I'm going to share with you, and you get more people on board to stop this unethical crime. I want to show you a video clip because the first thing people ask me about geoengineering is, who are these people? Who are the people that are, kind of pushing the button to get this thing going? One of them, his name is David Keith. And David Keith has been low in the radar for a while. But he has written a book about climate engineering that has basically done more for the truth movement of this than anything. Because he is the frontline person that is the #1 advocate for geoengineering. And I want to show you a clip. It's about 6 minutes, so just bear with me.
You ever look at those planes up there? They have contrails on them.
Maybe all those planes are the contrails. Maybe they're actually spraying chemicals into the atmosphere right now, and Uncle Sam isn't telling us.
Seems extremely unlikely.
That the United States is not telling something to its citizens? That seems extremely likely to me. Read the newspaper.
And of course, there are a lot of problems with what they're proposing. It turns out plants need sunlight.
Yes.
Have you gotten some grief for suggesting this?
Sure. I mean, this is like writing a book that's the case for leprosy.
Well, first of all, let me ask you this question, because there's a rumor, I don't know if this is true or not, that some scientists are trying to figure out a way to block the sun to try to slow down global warming.
Could an individual start this?
In practice, only a country. A big
Okay.
country.
What about a man in like a hollowed out volcano with henchmen who occasionally shakes his fist at the sky and says, "They said I was a fool at Harvard. Who's the fool now?"
It's All Things Considered from NPR West. I'm Arun Roth. If scientists get the calculations wrong, it could be catastrophic for life on Earth. Or what if the technology got into the wrong hands? Couldn't someone shoot poison into the atmosphere?
So people are terrified about talking about this because they're scared that it will prevent us cutting emissions.
Right, and also that it's sulfuric acid.
It is.
You're bearing the lead. Is there any possible way this could come back to bite us in the ass?
You put another kind of pollution, sulfur dioxide, up to orbit, cover the atmosphere. The sky won't be really blue in the way it is now anymore.
Blanketing the earth in sulfuric acid, because I'm all for it. This is the all chocolate dinner. I still get to have my CO2, and I just need to spray sulfuric acid.
Right.
All over the earth.
Right. But we put 50 million tons of sulfuric acid in the air now as pollution, and it kills 1 million people a year worldwide.
Okay, and that's
so
good or bad?
It's terrible.
But it'll be better if we put more in. So if it kills 1 million people and we're only doing 1% more, we're just killing 10,000 more people.
You can do math. So killing people is not the objective here.
Killing people, not the objective. I just wanted to be clear. I just wanted to be clear.
Because some very mainstream scientists are saying that the climate change situation is so bad that saving life as we know it might require something radical, like shooting chemicals into the stratosphere to reflect sunlight.
Like the beer bug with us.
This is the kind of stuff I wake up sweating about. Exactly.
Well, it's your goddamn idea.
No, it actually turns out to be an old idea. This was known since President Johnson, and the scientific community mostly decided not to talk about it.
What happens to the sulfuric acid after it's sprayed? Does it just stay up there?
No, it rains down.
Okay.
But as I said, it rains down.
Okay.
It's a tiny addition. Okay. And you'd put, say, 20,000 tons of sulfuric acid into the stratosphere every year, and each year you have to put a little more, and this doesn't, in the long run, mean that you can forget about cutting emissions. We will need to rein in
No,
emissions.
we'll get to it eventually, yeah.
But it does.
In the meantime, we're shrouding the earth in sulfuric acid.
So it is that you could actually spray sulfuric acid in the stratosphere 20 kilometers over our head and
You
use
guys have
that
to
to
joke
stop
about
the
it.
planet warming up in a kind of ugly tech fix.
You could spray something into the atmosphere to change.
Spray pollution into the atmosphere to stop it warming.
So in the end, pollution saved them all. We owe pollution. We owe acid rain an apology, is what you're saying.
A totally imperfect technical fix.
Okay.
It would have risks. It wouldn't get us out of the long-run need to stop polluting, but it might actually save people and be useful.
Sky won't be really blue in the way it is now anymore.
The chemtrail.
As long as we save one,
Yeah.
that's worth it.
Yeah. As long as we save one frog, all these millions of deaths, they're all good. Yeah. So this is again how preposterous really is. All right, let's keep chugging. We got a few more. We got about 20 minutes left, so let's get through what we can.
Administration, which is a U.S. Department of Commerce, a branch of your government, has thankfully come out with an article where they want to get the record straight. They want to set it straight. They want you to know.
I gotta do this. I gotta pull back up that. Okay. Let's get rid of that. I think that's the only one. Okay. Project Storm Fury was an attempt to weaken tropical cyclones by flying aircraft into them and seeding them with iodine. Okay. Okay, well, what were you saying there, public video?
The truth, so they're going to fact check and they're going to debunk any and all crazy conspiracies about weather modification and weather control. And they're going to fact check some really important points that I'm going to show you here in this video, because we need to set the record straight. No one creates or steers hurricanes. This technology does not exist. And of course, I'll prove to you that it does exist. I mean, come on. They're going to fact check us. We might as well fact check them and share information like this so the common person out there can understand, if they could remove themselves from the man-made distractions, the left-right paradigm, and all this other stuff they have you thinking about, and realize that the government is at war with its own citizens and using weather modification and weather control to get away with it, so that you don't see that they're actually there doing it. Now, for anybody who has the notion, of course, that controlling the weather is crazy, that's been ingrained in you since you were young. That's why you've always heard things like you can't predict Mother Nature, you can't control Mother Nature. That was to set you on a course through your life to think that things like this were not humanly possible. But of course, even going back to the 1940s and 50s, we've heard out in the open, even presidents like JFK and Lyndon B. Johnson talk about how their goal then was to be able to control the weather.
We shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
It lays the predicate foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
So, of course, they were talking about controlling the weather all the way back then. And now we could actually, back then, I mean, they didn't even have cell phones. They didn't even have really, cordless phones back in those days. Of course, they had the technology. It was just about conditioning people to accept this technology in their day-to-day lives and become dependent on it first before they could unleash it on the public. So now, of course, you could do all sorts of things on your phone. You could bank on your phone. You could watch football on your phone. We've heard all the stuff over the years that you could do with your phone. So just imagine what they could do with the weather since then. And of course, they have openly admitted to using it in the Vietnam War and Operation Popeye. They have openly admitted to some of it, but seen they've pulled back since they used to openly admit that they had the ability to do these things. And they've actually scrubbed, as I'll show you in this video, a lot of their patents and documentation off of government websites about weather modification and weather control, because they didn't expect any of us to actually wake up to what it is that they're actually doing. So back to NOAA, back to the government fact-checking its civilians. And of course, this isn't to fact-check anyone. This is just to put out what is real misinformation, government misinformation, to make sure that the sheeple stay herded and under control. So the first thing they do is they claim, quote, the claim is that the government is creating, strengthening, and or steering hurricanes into specific communities. The fact is, folks, no technology exists that can create, destroy, modify, strengthen, or steer hurricanes in any way, shape, or form. All hurricanes, including Helene and Milton, are natural phenomenon that form on their own due to aligning conditions of the ocean and atmosphere. Of course, we're going to take them at their word, right? Because how could you actually create the weather, right? I mean, you could, for example, I mean, if I was just a thinking man, which I am, I mean, you could actually make artificial clouds in the sky, but you just wouldn't expect anyone to notice. So you could fly these airplanes above us, tell us it's water vapor. And then, of course, we look up, and all of a sudden a blue sky day turns into a hazy sky, and nobody thinks about why that is, right? Or if you want to just talk about on a massive scale, because some people might say, well, how would they create hurricanes with something like that? So you're telling me that they're going out in the middle of the ocean with these planes and flying them up all around the middle of the ocean to create hurricanes, and then what? Well, I'm not saying that they're doing the geoengineering over the oceans. I'm saying they're doing the geoengineering over the states. Over the ocean, well, they wouldn't need to fly the planes, because they could just take something like, let's say, NASA's Cloud Machine. You're familiar with NASA's Cloud Machine, where the BBC has even reported on how NASA makes these huge clouds come right out of this huge machine and then, of course, can make it rain within minutes? Well, if you haven't seen it, take a look.
This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive, and as it turns out, the cleanest.
There you have have the BBC showing you this giant fog machine. Wait a minute, I thought NASA was flying out into space. I thought NASA was trying to figure out how to get back to the moon since we haven't been back since the fake footage they showed us back in the 60s. What is going on here? What is going on? Oh, right, because these things are all fronts for other things. You see, if people out there knew that their tax money was going into forming weather modifications so that the government could use weather against you and do things like they just did to people in the Carolinas or in Florida every month, well, then people would probably revolt against their tyrannical government, right? But, you know, that's just a cloud machine. And just imagine, right? Because you could sit there and people go, well, that's just in Florida. It's sitting at NASA. So, you know, what in the world is that? You know, you're just being, you know, you're pulling straws out of a hat here. You know, you're showing us a cloud machine, fine. You're showing us NASA, okay. But how do, you know, they're not out in the middle of the ocean, right? Because you don't know what's out in the middle of the ocean, do you? Do you know what's out there? Are you getting pictures constantly of what's out in the middle of the ocean? Hundreds, thousands of miles into the middle. Of course you don't know what's out there. But we know that people that we can trust, like Bill Gates, have announced funding for seawater spraying cloud machines, right? So those are probably nothing about making clouds out in the ocean and forming and building hurricanes out there, you know? Or like these huge things that we've seen over the years out in the middle of the ocean where we have no idea what they are. And we're supposed to just say, well, it must be some kind of generator in the middle of the ocean. Or the wind turbines that are out there. They couldn't possibly steer the weather, could they? I mean, how would you actually make a hurricane stronger? I mean, the CIA head director, John Brennan, you know, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? He's one of Obama's right-hand men. I mean, he's spoken at the Council on Foreign Relations about having the ability to move weather around. Or how about Operation Project Cirrus, 1947, where it was documented that the government was dropping dry ice and all sorts of things in the clouds to make hurricanes larger and have the ability to move them around, right? I mean, this has got to be a conspiracy, right?
Project Cirrus is the first official attempt to modify a hurricane. It was run by General Electric with the support of the U.S. military. The official theory was that by changing the temperature outside the eye wall of a hurricane, which they did by seeding the clouds with various compounds such as silver iodide, a decrease in strong winds will result. On October 13th, 1947, Project Cirrus targeted a hurricane heading out to sea. Approximately 180 pounds of dry ice was dropped into the clouds. The crew then reported a pronounced modification of the cloud deck, and the hurricane abruptly changed direction and made landfall near Savannah, Georgia. The public blamed the government. Irving Langmuir, who pioneered General Electric's atmospheric research department and admitted that the project was about learning how to weaponize the weather, also claimed the reversal of the hurricane had been caused by Project Cirrus. But the government denied it for 12 years.
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering.
Yeah, guys, there's literally so much evidence. There's so much over and over and over that you can read. And so wrap up our last 10 minutes. I'm just going to go through some articles real quick. And so this is from MIT Technology Review. Of course, from those from the high table want us to give us their opinion. And it says, why new proposal to restrict geoengineering are misguided. We need more research, including outdoor experiments, to make better informed decisions about climate interventions. Oh, that y'all been doing. And of course, they get into it all the different things. Earlier this month, Tennessee's governor signed into law a bill banning intentional injection, release, or dispersion of chemicals into the atmosphere for the express purpose of affecting temperature, weather, or intensity of sunlight. The legislation seems to be primarily motivated by debunked conspiracy theories about chemtrails. This is MIT, guys. This is MIT Review, and they are literally saying debunked conspiracy theories. How many videos have we seen of them literally showing governmental officials giving this information out? It's literally, this is why everyone rejects you. This is why people, it's so stupid. Over in Mexico, of course, they got to show us a fake glow, but Mexico plans to ban solar geoengineering after rogue experiment. A U.S. startup carried out a geoengineering experiment in Mexico, which the country claims was done without prior notice and consent. Mexico announced this Tuesday a set of measures to ban solar geoengineering experiments in the country after a U.S. startup began releasing sulfur particles into the atmosphere in the northern state of Baja California. The Mexican government said it will develop a strategy to ban future experimentation with solar and geoengineering, which also will include an information campaign, scientific reports. However, the government did not announce more specific action. Mexico reiterates its unavoidable commitment to protection and well-being of the population from practices that generate risks to humans and environmental security. Boom. Oh, nope. It's just debunked, even though the whole country of Mexico is saying, hey, you can't be doing stuff that's going to have risks to human and environmental security. Yeah, no, it's just debunked. This is from Reuters. Risky geoengineering should be banned, climate group says. Singapore, September 15th. Reuters. Controversial technologies intend to offset the effects of atmospheric carbon should be banned until properly assessed. A group of politicians and scientists have warned, even as they've urged developed nations to lead in cutting CO2 emissions. A report by the Climate Overshoot Commission, chaired by former WTO boss Pascal Lamy and formed in 2022, said it was increasingly likely the world would exceed the target to keep temperature rise within the 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. It said richer countries needed to take the initiative to cut. So, cut all the initiative. Okay, whatever. Oh my gosh, it literally makes me spiral how stupid they are. More backup to Tennessee lawmakers vote to ban geoengineering with allusions to chemtrails conspiracy theory. NBC News, that's why no one believes you, because it's not conspiracy theories. These are real things that have been showed over and over and over. Y'all are jokes. It's literally insane. How many times like we show you, nope, we're just conspiracy theories, even though we're showing you documents from your own sources. It's so preposterous. But so much information. I think we did a really good job on covering a lot of it. There's still so much more and other implications that we didn't even get to cover. You know, these chemicals,
That's
they
the
have
tip
to
of the iceberg.
Yeah, and these chemicals, they have to fall down somewhere, right? Is this maybe not having, highly flammable things on top of trees that amplify the fires that exist? It's who knows what extent that is being what steps are being to the extent and the steps that are being taken to do this type of mischievous behavior. It's quite preposterous. But yeah, all right, guys. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed. Let's go ahead and say our goodbyes. I'd love to hear your kind of final thoughts about these global warnings, about this weather modification, and then your goodbyes, and we'll close it out for the night. Let's jump over to you, Robert.
I just love how they just talk about it. So, who was it? Was it Stephen Colbert? I don't know the guy no more. The nighttime. They just mocking, jokingly, whatever about it, and the others are like reporting this as, well, of course, this is what we're trying to do to help moderate the climate and all this kind of stuff. It's like. So it's like they're not denying it, but they're making it like, yeah, this is nothing. Because it's nothing. Nothing to see here.
Well, like half of them are denying it, and then the other half are saying we're using it for the good of humanity. It's like they can't get their story straight.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome, brothers. Always a pleasure to have you. So, shalom.
Shalom.
All right, let's jump over to Kyle. What are your thoughts, brother?
Yeah, first of all, good night, everyone. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, I think we're going to see an upscale in this technology over the years. I think it's just kind of begun, and it's probably going to get a lot worse. I imagine as they develop better methods of doing this, it's just going to get more and more extreme. Circumstances are going to get crazier and crazier. I mean, and that's what I've seen personally in the last 25 years is that just the weather has got increasingly more. You just can't predict it. Um, and more of these chemtrails over our sky, and they admit more and more that they're doing it. The government documents are being released, so I don't see any end to this in sight. I think we should just kind of buckle up because it's going to get kind of strange.
Yeah, and they're gonna definitely come in as the saviors and say, "See, we've been trying to do this. You didn't want us to do this, and this is why the sun is hot and is burning. Is hot, right? Like literally there. If you read in scripture and the predictions that are made, right? Like they're setting up. It's like they're setting up to be like, see, we told you, Christians that read the Bible, that there is a globe and it is warming. You know what I mean? It's so preposterous. Well, as always, brother, a pleasure to have you, and good to see you. All right, let's jump over to BV. What are your final thoughts, brother?
I'm just running off of what he just said. We're just going to see. There's no slowing down to this. It is going to ramp up. He's like he said. We're buckling in and taking off. So, hey, thank you for having me here tonight. But I agree with that 100%. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been a minute since you've been here, brother, but always feel free to join us. Always love to hear you and hang out with you. So, like always, feel free to join us. That goes along with everyone. If you're interested in joining the stream, check out the links in the description below and join the Discord. And last but not least, we got our brother Frankie B. Love to hear your final thoughts and your goodbyes, brother.
Yeah. Shalom, everyone. Sorry I was late. But yeah, we haven't had rain in like 2.5 months, and they always seed in my area. I'm in the Northeast. And now they're sending out drought warnings, and the ground is hardening up, which is a possibility for a heavy rain to cause flooding, or which they also started doing. We've been getting flash fires starting out through Pennsylvania and all New Jersey and the tri-state area here. And yeah, it's just, I mean, I love it because I hate the rain, but we need the rain. And the whole thing with the barium, I always knew there was something going on with that, and I never knew what it was because when I was at my heaviest, it would always affect my stomach. I'd have to go to bed because my stomach hurt so bad. And since I've lost a ton of weight, like almost 60 pounds, I feel so much better. And I've also noticed that sometimes when they do the seeding, it causes a greenhouse effect, which it makes it warmer in unwarm seasons, like around Christmas and in December and November. Just 2 weeks ago, we were in the 70s and the 80s, and it's in November and late October. It's crazy. One Christmas, we were all wearing shorts at a Christmas party. It was insane. So there's that, and then I've also noticed that when they do heavy seeding, my allergies in the winter flare up, and the pollen count's really low in the winter, but I'm getting allergy attacks, and and I checked the allergy website. It's all clear. Everything's green, good to go. No allergies. I'm getting allergy attacks. It's just, it's the stuff that they're putting in the chemicals that are causing that, and also the inflammation. It targets your joints. I've noticed that as a reaction to some of their chemtrailing. So and the barium that says along it lowers your immune system. And when I was at my heaviest weight, I was prone to getting flu-like conditions, sickness, and but since I've lost the weight and I've been doing intermittent one meal a day fasting, in a 20-minute
Yeah, you're not eating
window.
all the junk.
Yeah, I've noticed my health is so much better. My immune system is way higher. My joint pains less. My allergy attacks still come on though. Just last week I had to take an allergy pill. It was so bad. My eyes were like on fire. And that was one cloud. It was a cloudy day. It was like that greenhouse effect, but it didn't. But it barely rained. So it's just sad, man. And they're pushing this global warming, and they can only do this on a flat Earth model. They can't weather modification in the globe model. It's only with the enclosed canopy, with the dome. That's the only way they can do this, because it shoots off the dome and then it fills the clouds. You know what I mean?
How
With the
dare
heart.
you.
So, with all that said, I'm glad to be here. Thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we could also do a part 2 on this one. This one flew by, man, and there's so much more information out there.
Yes, literally, we're like skimmed the top of the heavy cream. We're not even fully through
let me
the heavy
add
cream. Go ahead.
one more thing, and that is most people don't realize it's like I noticed it in the last 3 or 4 years here. Okay, I don't go through droughts, but I had people when I call certain people that understand how tree, anyway, I forget the name you use it for, but my tree guy comes over and he looks and he says my trees looks like they're going through a drought phase. But we're not in any drought at all. I'm in northern Michigan. It's not like that up here. When we started talking about it, he understood about chemtrails and all that. He says, well, what he thinks is happening is everything's fall over all this, so then certain trees are not able to absorb all the water. They're being cut off. So at that point, it just kills them. You know what I mean? Anyway, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, well, they've literally stopped chemtrailing in my area. We've had so much sun, and I can see stars. Man, for almost 2 years, it went through a stretch where I never seen stars. I thought the stars were gone. It was so bad. They were chemtrailing so much, and it was raining 3-4 times a week. And I love it. I love getting out of my car and seeing the stars, seeing the Big Dipper, and seeing all the beautiful stars that I remember from when we were young. They didn't do this, and you could see the stars. We had droughts, and we had hot summers, and we had all these, the normal conditions. But in the last since the 2000s, they've just been bombarding us with cloud seeding and chemtrails. So with that said, dig deep, and the truth is out there, and continue to seek truth unequivocally.
I think BV, you're talking about an arborist. But I'm also in Michigan. I think you're north of me, but like Teresa be like, it's gonna rain, and I'm like, well, I look at my weather app, and it'd be like, oh, it's gonna rain at 2:00. And then 2:00 comes, you look at the weather app, it's gonna rain at 6:00. 6:00 comes, it's like, oh, it's not gonna rain. You go outside, right. You look at the weather map, it says it's not gonna rain. You go outside, it sure feels like it's gonna rain. It's really weird. It's really weird on that. Is it going to rain or not? We've been getting a fair share of rain, but yeah, trying to predict the weather. Someone said, how is it that you say that the weatherman can never predict the weather, but you're saying that the weatherman can make weather?
Right.
You know, when I was growing up, we used to
If they
laugh.
could
were
predict it, it
always
would be suspicious.
wrong.
Sorry, Frankie.
Yeah,
No,
when
I'm
I
sorry.
was
Go ahead.
growing up, they were always wrong. The weathermen were always wrong. Now they're right on point. I mean, they're when they predict something, it happens all the time. I mean, they've
Except
got
when the other weathermen are doing something.
Well, it depends on where you're at too.
yeah.
Yeah, and who knows, right? One may affect it down the road for sure, but yeah, what a great conversation. See, it's even in time, and we're still wanting to go with it because there's literally so much we could talk about. But we will have to wait on that. For that is the end of this episode. I hope y'all have enjoyed. See y'all next week for another episode. But until then, remember that Abba loved you first. Shalom, everybody. Have a good night.